Hi, today I'm going to make a mango lassi ice cream. I'm going to use a yogurt base, so I'm going to start with some Greek yogurt. I use the full fat so that it helps to make a more creamy ice cream. I'm going to use, obviously, mangoes. I'm using these kind, the little yellow ones, because they're less fibrous. They don't look as pretty when they're cut up, but it's going to be all mashed up anyway. I'm going to use a regular mango for the topping, maybe a mix-in, maybe just put on top. I'm not sure yet, but these cut up prettier. I'm going to use some cardamom seeds, not very many. I've got 5 out. I'm going to grind them up and then see how pungent it smells and decide from that. I'm going to use some of these tamarind. I haven't decided how many I'm going to use. I think I'm going to use about 3, but I'm going to see how they smell and how strong they are when I put them in. That's kind of how I cook these ice creams, is I start with something and then I adjust as I go. So I don't use any measurements. I just go by sight and kind of experience what I've used in the past, and then I taste a lot. So I have a bunch of spoons with me when I'm cooking, and I just keep tasting the base to see if it's what I want. In addition to that, obviously, I'm going to use sugar. I like to use Splenda because I'm trying to cut back on the sugar, but you could use regular sugar. I'm also going to use some of this monk fruit. This is a brown sugar monk fruit. I kind of like it because it has a more golden flavor. I think it'll go well with the mango. I'm going to use it when I cook it up. I'm going to put this in with the mango and the tamarind because it kind of helps make a sauce. And with that sauce, I like to use some sort of alcohol. It's going to burn off, so it's not going to be alcoholic ice cream. But I'm going to use this gin. You could use any gin. You could use really any alcohol. But gin has a nice light juniper flavor, so I'm thinking that'll go really well with the mango. I'm also going to put a little bit of vanilla in. I put vanilla in almost all my bases for my ice cream. It seems to go with a lot of things. And then in addition to that, salt. I know it sounds funny to be putting salt into something like this, but it really helps to balance the flavor, to help the flavors come out without it tasting too sickly sweet. Okay, I started by cutting up the mango, and I didn't worry about it being pretty because it's gonna be all ground up anyway. I put it in a saucepan because I'm gonna cook it, and I took all 3 of these tamarinds, and I just took the shell off, and I left them with the seeds in because after I cook this, it's kind of just like a spice. After I cook it, I'm going to take those seeds out. If a little bit of the pulp gets mixed in, that's fine. But mainly I just wanted it to have the aromatic flavor of that part of the world. As for the cardamom seeds, I ground them up. I ground up 4, and as I was grinding, I was noticing they're very pungent. So I decided I'm just going to put some in like a spice, and then I'm going to taste it after everything's cooked, and if it needs a little more, I'll add it, but I don't want to add too much because then it's going to have a perfumey taste. I'm going to put a little bit of salt. I'm going to put the sugar in later, and the gin, and I'm going to put the vanilla in later. I'm going to cook it first. Okay, while that's cooking, I'm going to get my base ready. As I said, I'm going to use this Greek yogurt, and as I said before, I never measure anything. So I'm just going to put some in the pint. I'm going to fill it about maybe 2/3 of the way full, maybe half actually, because I'm going to add my Splenda. I just kind of add and look and add and look, and then I taste and go from there. Just going to add a bunch of Splenda. A little vanilla. Stir it up. As you stir, it'll get a little more liquidy. Makes it easier to stir as you're going. The sugar kind of breaks it down a little bit, gets it smooth texture. What I'm trying to do is leave room for the mango. And I want to fill it pretty much to the max fill. I mean, I don't have to, but that's my goal. If I have too much, I'll just use a different pint. Okay, now the most important part is I taste. And that's good. Obviously, it's subjective, how you want it to be. Some people like a little sweeter. Some people like the sourness to come out of the yogurt. I do like a little bit of the sourness to come out, so I don't want it to be too sweet. I think I'm going to add a little bit of salt. That's something that you can do. I definitely add it to my mango. And it doesn't really matter where you want it because it's all going to be mixed together. But I'm just, as I'm tasting, I just kind of do that. And I think I'm going to add a little bit more vanilla. And I'll stir it up. And then I'll check on my mango mixture. I've been cooking the mango with the tamarind for about 5 minutes. And I added a little bit of butter so I could make a nice sauce with the gin. So first thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of the gin, just a little bit to make it easily make a sauce, and it's supposed to make the ice cream smooth. And I'm going to add a little bit of this monk fruit sweetener. I tasted the mango while I was cutting it, and it was a bit on the sour side, surprisingly, because it felt soft, so I thought it was going to be sweet, but that's okay because I'll just adjust my sugar. So as you can see, this is kind of like a brown sugar. It has the consistency of brown sugar, so it's going to really be nice for the sauce. I'm going to stir this up until the sugar melts. And then I'll give it a taste. And of course the alcohol I'm going to cook to burn off. Make sure I'll cook it for a little bit. I need to cook it anyway to get the sauce to go. And then I'm going to take a little taste. No, it's good. It's a little bit sour, but that's okay because my yogurt was a little bit sweet, so it's going to mix together nicely. So I'm going to cook this for another 5 minutes or so, and then I'll take out the tamarind seeds. And I'll add a little bit more of the cardamom. I added some of it, and it tastes like it needs a little bit more. So, okay, so I cooked it for about 5 more minutes to let the alcohol burn off, and I took out the tamarind seeds. So now I've got a nice brown sauce with the mango, and I'm ready to pour it in. Like I said, since I didn't measure, I don't know exactly how much this is going to make. If it's going to go over the pint, then I'll just save it for something else. I'm going to add it all. I can always take some out. So I'm going to add it all, mix it up, and taste. Looks like it's going to be just right at the mark, so we're good. And I'm not going to worry about the chunks of mango being different sizes. They're generally the same size, but they're kind of like funny shapes because it's all going to be blended up anyway. Okay, now it's time to taste. It's good, but I think I'm going to add a little bit of lime because it'll give it that brightness. So I'll do that, and then I'll put it in the freezer, and we'll see. Okay, so I froze the mango lassi yogurt overnight, and I'm ready to mix it. So I'll turn it on, turn it to make it, I'm going to do full, and turn it to frozen yogurt setting, and then I'll start it. Okay, I've done the first spin, so I'm ready to take a look. That's it. And it looks good. So now I'm ready to taste it. A lot of times you'll have to respin it, and I kind of expected this one to have to be respun, but it creamed up really nicely the first time. So now I'm going to taste it. It tastes good. Things I might try to add, I might add a little bit of cardamom seeds because I'm not really tasting it so much. I'm tasting the mango and the sweetness, but not the cardamom. So I'm gonna mix in a little more cardamom and taste it again, and then I'll serve it. I added a tiny bit of salt and a little bit of cardamom seeds to bring out the flavor a little bit more. I respun it, and it helped the flavor, but one of the things I noticed is it made it a little bit looser. That's not a bad thing, it's just a different texture. It's more like Fro-Yo and less like ice cream. So depending on probably what I would do if I wanted it to be firmer is I would either add some guar gum to it, or I would just refreeze it and then spin it again after it freezes. But of course you don't want to wait for that because you want to eat it. So this is the final product. I put some fresh mango on top, and I'll taste it again. It's good.